The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Are You Afraid Cult, the unofficial American Horror Story Cult podcast, a PapiChuloRadio.com original series, Papi Chulo Radio, pop culture on demand. Today is Wednesday, October 4th, 2017, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Aruz. During tonight's broadcast, we're going to recap, review, and dissect the latest episode of FX's American Horror Story Cult. Please welcome my co-host, Mark Estes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am thrilled to be back. It might not sound like it, though, but I am still picking myself up off the floor from last night's episode.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's jump into our recap of Season 7, Episode 5, which was titled Holes, and aired October 3rd, 2017. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. The clown gang's attacks intensify. Allie makes a shocking discovery. So let's get into it. What was your initial reaction to the episode, Mark?
Bruh, when I tell you, I was sitting here just like, if I had pearls, they'll be clutched and maybe clutched to dust. That's how hard I was clutching last night, because I was like, they are constantly, it's like American Horror Story Cult this season has been like this big-ass onion, and you're constantly peeling back each layer of the onion. You know what I'm saying? It's just to get down to just the core of it. And I'm loving how each episode is giving us so much about laying foundation for what's to come, and it's paying off at a steady and satisfactory pace. I mean, just awesome all around. I loved it. It was a great episode. I know some people had seen it earlier and was like, seen it before it aired. And they gave it great marks and whatnot, though, but I thought it was awesome. It was a real good episode. Very well plotted, very well directed, acted. But my question to you is like, does it seem like it's coming to an end? Like pretty soon? Like we've hit the climax now. So it's like, all the cards on the table now. So do you think that we're going to get like a pseudo like switch over soon?
You know, I'm going to answer that in just a moment. So I will say, I thought the episode was fantastic. I love the reveals. I love the twists. A couple of them I predicted, so I can pat myself on the back and I can say in your face to all of you that doubted me.
Whatever.
There was, still a couple of twists and a couple of revelations that I was not expecting so soon. So to answer your question, I don't know. I know that you have been predicting pretty much, I think, since like week 2, that, there's something going to happen. There's going to be some sort of switch up like last season where the whole story is going to change in the second half of the season. And I'm going to have to guess that maybe you are right when it comes to that, because we got a reveal in this episode that I was not expecting at all in this episode, and that threw me for a loop, because once you have, someone knowing something, and the reason I'm being vague is because I want to discuss it when we actually break down, but once you have someone knowing something, like, what happens? Like, what is going to happen next? And how can they continue on with the storyline in this way? So we're going to get into that completely a little bit later. But before we get into our thorough recap of the latest episode of American Horror Story Cult, here's our announcer with a few special announcements.
Follow Papi Chulo Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chulo Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychuloradio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chulo Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychuloradio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chulo Radio programs by visiting poppychuloradio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Are You Afraid? Cult, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. Alright, let's get into this episode, and let's start off by talking about the opening sequence. In it, we see our girl, Beverly Hope, doing what she does best, and that is instilling fear in the community. And her boss, Bob, right? I don't know if he's her boss. He's like the lead anchor, so I guess he controls the content of the newscast, and basically he's like, you're sensationalizing. It's fake news. Why are you all of a sudden knowing everything about what's going on? He threatens to fire her, and she's basically like, yeah, you fire me, and watch me start talking about you sexually harassing the dead girl, and you haven't even released the footage and all this kind of stuff, and you don't want the truth to come out about yourself, and blah blah blah. And so later on, at a meeting with all of the current cult members, we see Beverly basically start to say, Bob's not allowing us to control the narrative. Bob is stifling us and what we're doing. Kai ends up telling her, you didn't even get the footage released, and that was fantastic footage of Serena's death. And so she basically ends up, they talk about them being sort of compromised, and so Kai comes up with the idea that they have to kill Bob, and they're going to film it, and it's going to be like the goriest, craziest death yet, because they need to get the community scared, especially since Kai's poll numbers are sort of stalled. And we see everyone that's currently in the cult, and I guess the surprise for everybody except for me is that Ivy shows up late, and she is officially confirmed as a cult member.
And my face hit the floor. I was like, how dare you? I was rooting for you. I mean, I
You're rooting for the wrong one.
Yeah, but I mean, come on now. I just felt that, I knew something was fishy, but at the same time, I was like, something's not adding up. And I even said it last week, if I'm not mistaken. I said, if she is a part of the cult, she is not a full-fledged member. She's only told certain things. And I'm going to bring that point up again later on in the episode, because it's something that happened in the episode that it's my, I guess, it proves my point, what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. But yeah, I was shocked, but at the same time, I kind of was expecting it. It was just like, as soon as I saw her, I said, okay, she's in, but how deep is she in? Like, is she getting the full details, or are they keeping some things, secret? Because think about it, all this stuff that they were doing at the beginning of the season, her child was in the middle of all this stuff. You see what I'm saying? He had to discover a lot of stuff. So I'm thinking like they probably telling her so much that she will be able to go with the plan, but not too much to the point where she is like, oh no, my child's gonna be involved in it. She's gonna, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that, blah blah blah, all that stuff.
Okay. She's in it, so I was right. That's all I'm gonna say.
Whatever.
I loved it. I called it. I knew it. She's there. Like, whether I agree with you, whether she's full-fledged, her heart's in it or not, the fact of the matter is that she's in it. She's in it to win it, at least for the moment. So I was very excited, and, I was screaming at the television, yes. And
I was screaming at the television, no, God, please, no, because it just, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's too funny. The opening scene, though, like seeing her news report and finding out that it's sort of like not going anywhere, was kind of funny because, we have our team of cult members and they've been working their asses off trying to cause paranoia. We see, or I should say, we heard Kai reference in a news report the chem trucks. So I'm like, okay, so that's what they're there for. They're there to sort of like sow seeds of paranoia and confusion and all that kind of stuff. Because we really have no idea, like, what the hell does that mean? And it's funny that like none of that stuff was sort of working. In this sort of like day and age of like jaded people and people that don't really pay attention to the news, or they're worried about other stuff. They're worried about Kylie, Chloe, and Kim being pregnant.
Yeah.
So they were like, who cares?
But do you think that it's pretty much like a full commentary on, like, because it's because it's like the main news networks like CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and Al Jazeera and all them, they are focused on everything that's going on at the White House. It's like 24-hour White House watch. And maybe the local news stations were going to, because I haven't watched anything new local related in a long time here, which is bad. It's just like right now, the local news is probably airing right now, and I just don't care because I just don't. So, but I do come across a few times to watch the news. I walk past it. I do notice that there are fluff pieces on and stuff like that. I guess just to uplift the community and whatnot. But so, do you think that maybe that's probably what Bob was trying to do, or try to get like these fluff pieces out? But we really know that he was just sitting there, catering to Serena's wishes and whatnot. Now she said that she didn't want to do fluff pieces, but I mean, you got to start somewhere. But it just, I don't know. It just seemed like he had Beverly out there doing like, when she was searching for something to do. Like I equate Beverly Hope to like a seriously deranged version of Gail Weathers.
Shout out to Gail.
Shout out to Gail Weathers. But I just think that maybe what Bob and their network was trying to do was to try to offer counter programming to all the talk about Trump and everything like that. Or Bob might be one of those people who are like, maybe he was pro-Trump or something like that, and he was like, well, I don't want to give any negative press to our new president because I like him and whatnot, because you did see that Serena sat there and voted for Trump. So it might have been a collaboration between the two of them to like keep anything negative related about Trump off the news, or anything dealing with like that would draw attention to like his elections, the reason why these people went crazy. That's what I'm getting from it. I know it's kind of long-winded though, but that's what I'm trying to get with that.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. It could be that too. Unfortunately, there are flashbacks, so maybe we'll learn a little bit more about Bob. But at this time, at this moment, like, I really didn't know, why or what his motivation was to sort of like try to silence Beverly, besides the fact that it seems like he doesn't really give three shits about her.
I think it's because, I think sexism and race comes into play. Racism
Yeah,
comes into
100%.
play. Also, the fact that Beverly asks too many questions. And in our eyes, she's doing her job, but in his eyes, he's causing trouble. Because when she asked him about the tapes about Serena getting killed, he was like, "Well, we've been pretty much, they had like a gag order on them. We can't show the tapes because it will, the parents don't want them to see, their daughter getting slashed like that." Or like Beverly said, "Or they probably don't want you to find, they probably, you probably don't want them to find out that you was like bonking their daughter."
Well, and also the fact that they feel that the station has been negligent. So this would be like actual proof.
Evidence. Yeah.
That something happened and they try to cover it up, and the station could be taken down. Or at
But that
least
might,
Bob, if he's the one that made the call.
but that too. But at the same, I just think there's something more going on at that station, and that's the reason why Bob was irked with Beverly because she was asking too many questions, and she was also going to find these murders and stuff like that. And it just seems like there's a certain packaged image that the station is trying to give off because he was trying to downplay the murders. But I'm like, people are dead. It's like a body almost every episode. And you can't ignore that, you know. And even if Beverly didn't even get involved with the cult, let's say she was like became a, you know, a TV version of Gail Weathers, and she sat there and investigated the murders and teamed up with Allie or something like that, and they cracked the case or something like that. I'm pretty sure she was sniffing to the point where she probably could have sniffed something that maybe the network was behind something. And it might not be nothing Kai related or cult related, but it might be something that's huge and all the negativity or something like that is going to be I don't know. It just seems like that's another ball weight to drop is what I'm trying to get around to. But we might not get that answer, or we might get it, and it might be something that we weren't even looking at, like something else that bitch slapped me later on in the episode that I didn't even put two and two together or even try to. So, um, but yeah, I think that him and Beverly just he saw that Beverly was being prosperous. She was doing the work, and then he was like, you know, you're maybe because you're black, and you know, you're not attractive to me, and you know,
Or you know too much.
or you know too much, and we don't want you nowhere near. So no, bye and whatnot. So that's
Yeah.
what I. Yeah.
But Beverly grabbing him by the pussy,
Mhm.
that was amazing.
Mhm.
Loved it. Let's discuss the dream. When we first see Allie in this episode, she's recounting a dream to Dr. Vincent. And the dream is she's looking at herself in the mirror, she sees something on her neck, she starts developing spots, she starts scratching the spots, and the spots turn into holes, and we see bugs crawling through the holes on her neck.
Shout out to the opening credits.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, that was a creepy scene because I'm like, what is she doing? Like, what is she scratching there? Because I'm thinking like, whatever she's doing, she's gonna claw, she's gonna draw blood, she's gonna panic. And sure enough, that's what she did. And I say it must be a dream sequence because this is as supernatural or you know otherworldly we've gotten so far outside of the whole twisty flashback. But I don't know. Like I said, I love the metaphor of all these holes that she's creating. She can't fill them up, and now they're manifesting in her mental capacity onto her skin or whatnot. You know, in her dreams rather. So I love that whole metaphor, and it tied into the episode title and everything. So I thought that was a nice touch, and you get so much. It's like again, the layers are still unrolling because you thought that her and Ivy had like the perfect relationship. They sat there and flashed back to like mid-September, and it looks like things were on the rocks then, before the election even came up. So, and maybe Allie is just spoiled. You know what I'm saying? She feels like we have all this money and we're entitled and we can go do all this stuff. And Ivy's over here like, look, I got to keep the bills up because, you know, stuff is going crazy. You know, people canceling on us and everything. And you're trying to get freaky in the bed right now. I ain't got time for that. I'm trying to be on business right now. So, um, but at the same time, it looks like Ivy has always had some sort of uh, give me a word that describes like when you know she's like been fed up with Allie for a long
Disinterest?
time. No, I won't say this interest, but just this like
Apathy.
apathy. Is that like when you're supremely irked with somebody? I'm not. I'm just saying like when she's completely like Allie is irks the fuck out of her. Like really, like you know, like stop. Like what are you doing? Like chill out. And I think it's all about perception because that's probably was Allie's way of saying like, yeah, she was kind of acting real funny towards the end, but it's like you didn't realize that you just bought her because Allie is still inside her head. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, she doesn't see like she's done anything wrong, and she just got to telling you about money. They strap, y'all struggling with the restaurant for just, that's gonna be like a issue coming on down the line, and you went and bought something from Tiffany's. It's like now somebody told me we're in the bed, and they're like, "Yo, our restaurant or our business is getting hit left and right. We got, you know, we got a real problem on our hands financially. I think it'd be the wrong time to pull out a blue Tiffany box. Look what I got you today. Wrong time, I think that's probably why Ivy feels the way that she does about Allie, and why it's so extreme now to the point where her to go this far to get back at her is because it's been building for a long time. If you get what I'm trying to say. Did that make any sense whatsoever?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been building for a while. Like we saw in the flashback, because it's brought up in the therapy session. I think Dr. Vincent's like, have you ever noticed, that she felt a different way towards you in the past? And we see a flashback to November 2016.
September
Sorry,
2016.
September 2016. And, the way that Ivy was treating Allie was with complete disinterest. And I get what you're saying with the argument, and I sort of see it from both sides. Like, I get it. They're strapped for cash. Ivy's trying to, make things happen in the business, and she's definitely thinking more so with the business head at the time. And I don't know how long they've been sort of maybe emotionally detached, or at least how long Ivy had been emotionally detached at that point, so I can't really fully judge it. But it did seem like Allie was trying to sort of like spice things up and, bring the romance back into the relationship. And I guess, she thought the best thing to do would be to sort of surprise her with a gift and blah, blah, blah. A gift always makes people happy and whatever. But it was the wrong time for a ridiculously expensive gift. So, it isn't working for them. And it seems like it has not been working for them for a while. And, maybe this sort of separation is allowing Allie to realize it. And I also did like the holes metaphor as well, because I didn't really think about. I was like, oh, okay, holes in the dream, blah, blah, blah. And then when she started to explain it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense.
hmm And also, I was going to throw in, one, for starters, I hold about don't look at me crazy, but Ivy just looks like somebody who would not like Tiffany gifts.
Because she's a little butch.
No, because she just seems like she gives off that air like she doesn't care about
Like fashion and material stuff.
Material stuff.
Allie definitely seems like she would like the Tiffany thing.
And that's why I feel as if when she went back to that particular moment, she still didn't get where she fucked up in that particular, intimate moment. Because like you just said, that was the wrong time to pull out a Tiffany gift when your wife just told you that y'all having financial issues with your restaurant, which all y'all's money is being pulled into. Because Allie even said to her, all the money she has is pulled into the building. So if you have a big investment like that to a business of that size, that clearly gets a lot of clientele, because we've seen half the cult meet there.
Yes.
And, and it seems like the night of the blackout, it was pretty busy. So it would seem like you would be more aware of what is going on. And I think that's Allie's problem. Even during the therapy session, Dr. Vince was telling her, you only got to worry about the stuff that you yourself can, fix and work on. Which is that everybody, that's just gospel. That's like a universal like law of like how to handle stress and everything. Just focus on what you yourself can work on. And I think that she needs to focus on herself because she still did not get like, yeah, she was kind of distant, but it seems like she doesn't get it. Like Ivy's always, from what I was seeing, Ivy's the one who was always worried about, the finances, the family, getting everything together. She's the more I hate my words just leaves me when I start doing these podcasts. She is more along I want to say the practical one. She just sit there and she, we gotta do this has to be done. She's the more structured, planned out half of that marriage. Ali is like, oh, it's whatever. It's whatever. Look at when last week when Ivy tried to get her to come to the Hillary Clinton rally. You're taking this a little bit too seriously. He's a reality show star. He's never gonna get elected, And when she doesn't care about anything until the shit hits the fan, and she's like, and when her hand is launching the shit on it, unintentionally, then she's like, oh, I should have paid attention to that. Oh, I wish I did this. And she's like one of those people who try to act or react in hindsight instead of reacting before, she's the person who tries to react after the accident instead of paying attention before the accident happened, if you get what I'm trying to say,
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I just cannot completely jump on board with her, and I can't give her 100% sympathy because I'm like, some of the stuff that you've done was brought onto yourself. Even though we know that Ivy and Winter and all the cult members set up the whole bathtub scene and everything like that, it's just the fact that you just fell into that. It's like she's falling into her own holes.
Oh
You know what I'm
my
saying? She's
gosh.
digging her holes and she's falling into them herself, just like all willy-nilly and stuff like that. And so she has to learn how to just like really pay attention to what's going on and come out of her woe is me shell and just be proactive for once. And I think that when we go further to the episode, inklings of that starting to show.
I like your analysis, and yeah, it was a really, really good scene because it was revelatory on Allie's relationship with Ivy, big time. And I mean, I guess we'll have to see what ends up happening. Knowing what I know, like I don't want them to get back together, but I'm rooting for Allie though because I would like to see her survive this and thrive. So there is a short scene in which we see Allie with Ozzy, and Ivy has made it so that Allie can only have supervised visits, and so, Allie is being all bumbling and whatnot because she's nervous because of the supervised visit. So it was an interesting scene, but it was definitely one of the less important scenes in the episode. Well, maybe it was important because we saw Ivy's reaction, and it does seem like some sort of guilt, maybe we'll call it, is starting to develop. And the next scene is actually Ivy with Winter, and we get more about Ivy and how she joined the cult. Basically, she's like, F the world. If basically Trump was elected and whatnot, we're going to have to teach everybody a lesson. Let's burn it to the ground so that, something new and greater will end up happening in the future. And we still see sort of like Winter playing. Well, I don't know if she's playing or if she's interested, but, we see her touch Ivy, and Ivy responds in a positive way. And Ivy did seem to have some sort of concern about like what she's doing, but she's like, I know it's for the greater good. And Winter sort of confirms that, and that leads us to the first major kill of the episode. And it starts off in an interesting way. The
Wait, you
goal
talking about?
is,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, there's a the goal for the cult is that they're going to kill Bob, and they're going to do it in a horrific kind of way. They're going to film it, they're going to release the film footage, and they're going to say, Hail Satan in Latin because, Latin's a scary language and it's going to freak people out. And the scene starts off in a weird way. We have Bob with gloves on, and it looks like he has some sort of red substance. Could it be marinara sauce? Is it strawberry jam? He licks his fingers. He takes off the gloves. He's in the kitchen, and the clowns enter the home, and they start attacking Bob. They toss him to the ground. They're ready to kill him, and Bob says something like, "No, no, 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 no." Well, actually, first Bob tries to negotiate, and that doesn't work. And they're like, "No, but what about my gimp upstairs? What about my gimp?" And so they go upstairs, and they see that Bob is into some extreme fetish play. He's got a gimp. I don't even know what you would call that.
I don't either. I was just shocked because I'm like, what the hell were you doing? Were y'all both you and Serena involved in this shit, or was it just you? Like, oh,
Yeah. The gimp is hooked through the skin, hanging down. He's got a mask on. He can't hear. He can't see. All the cult members take off their clown masks, and they're like, Kai's like, kill the gimp, kill the gimp. There's hesitation, in particular from RJ, the cameraman, and the actual cameraman at the station. And Kai's like, there's no votes, kill the gimp. And so he kills the gimp, and Ivy freaks out. Winter follows. Ivy goes and vomits, and whatever. And so the clowns end up bringing Bob up into the attic, and they take turns stabbing him. He's being filmed. And then Beverly, outside of the camera's view, takes off her mask. Bob has his mouth taped up, and she's like, Hail Satan, motherfucker, and she chops him with an axe and in the head, and then he dies. And so we see Beverly Hope do a report on what happened, and she shows the footage that was sent to her via email. And there was a moment, though, when she did announce Bob's death where she smiled a little bit, which I kind of liked. And let's stop here and let's break this all down. Let's talk about Bob, the Gimp, and the death.
oh god, remind me when we get towards the end of the episode, bring up some stuff that I was gonna say before we went to the sequence. Bob, first and foremost, Dermot, when you said that you said something about you were surprised or you were shocked or something like that. I'm like, oh, Dermot, I cannot pronounce his name. His ass.
Yes, Bob.
Yeah, I was like, damn, Dermot, you got an ass on you, and I mean, that shit is firm. And them damn boxer, were they boxers? They accentuated the ass cheeks very well. That's what I'm trying to say. And I was here for it. So I was taking out the damn show for just a second there. I just gotta say it. And then I was like noticing that he had the gloves on, but I'm like, it's now. But at first I'm thinking like you said, like strawberry jam. Was he eating ice cream? Is he one of those like people who don't like to be messy when they eat like junk food and stuff like that? Because everything he had on, all his undergarments was white. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like he probably was one of those. I don't want to get nothing on the shirt and ruin the shirt or something like that. But in hindsight, was it blood?
Yes.
And it was like, oh God, because when you sat there, he said Gimp, and I'm like, oh, he freaky. But I saw what type of Gimp he had upstairs. I'm like, oh, he was leaking. Also, oh God, that is just gross. Ugh. So I was like, excuse me, because I've never heard of any type of kink play like that. But I have, but I didn't think they'll be able to show it on TV like that. But this is, I mean, they dropping F bombs left and right, and I don't know. I was just shocked because I was like, well, was Serena involved in all this stuff, or is it just your way of just like this something you're gonna hide behind her back if you had to get with her or something like that? And then I was like, somebody take the guy's mask off. If you're gonna kill him, you might as well go ahead and take the mask off. You know what I'm saying? So we can see, the audience can see who it is, which makes me think that it's gonna be somebody that we already seen, possibly, maybe, but I don't know. But it was just a little crazy. Then Ivy, for that being her first time in the kill zone or something like that, she couldn't handle it. And I thought that was pretty cool because it kind of showed that that's what I was saying, like that's the exhibit A on why I was saying that she's not fully all the way in yet, because they had killed like what, 5 or 6 people before she joined. Was she there? Well, that's later on. But I was trying to remember, was her clown there during the casket, you know, scene a couple episodes back. Um, and I can't recall. So, but that's pretty much all I get. I mean, and I really honestly gotta think that RJ still recorded Beverly. I think he still got her on tape. If not her face, he got her voice.
Okay,
One of the
that's
two.
interesting. I wonder if that's going to come back at some point. For those that
Also,
are curious, a GIMP is a slang term, and it is defined as a sexual fetishist who likes to be dominated and who dresses in a leather or rubber bodysuit with mask, zips, and chains.
think Rubber Man from season 1.
Yes, although to the extreme.
Yeah.
However they did this, I mean, because this is like a real thing,
Mhm.
but however they did this, like whatever effect and prosthetics they used, that shit looked real.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, even though they've had tons of blood and guts throughout the entire 7 years of American Horror Story, like I think people were turned off with the whole drill bit demon, dildo demon from season Hotel, and I was shocked that they got away with that. So I was equally, even though I feel like the drill bit demon was even worse than what we saw, but
They didn't even show him that much. Like,
they
I was
only,
more
yeah,
curious about him in that season, and they showed him.
twice.
Yeah, basically. Like, I wish that they would have gone there with
But
him. If they introduced this entity, they might as well should have used him to their advantage because he was creepy.
yeah, but that goes back to the point, like when they aired it and then a lot of people complained about it, like, okay, y'all went too damn far now. Did they tell Ryan Murphy to pull him back? You know what I'm saying? Because when the promotional material came out for that season, and I'm gonna get back to what I'm trying to say in a minute, but it just like he kept hyping up this drill bit demon, saying that he's in the vein of, Bloody Face and the Rubber Man and the Minotaur and Twisty. So, and he got it's like that was like at that point it was the extreme. So I was like, now they thought that was kind of extreme. I'm shocked that they showed this, form of kink on TV, even though it wasn't during a family hour. It was still like, it's still not HBO cable. It's just cable. And, you know, I was kind of shocked because it did look real as hell. It looked very, very real. And I would love to see the behind the scenes or how they did that, or hear a commentary or something like that, or if there was actually an actual, guy who was into that and he signed up to do that, and it was actually real, or if it was just, some guy, a stuntman with prosthetic and stuff like that on. But the whole sequence was just creepy because it was myriad of like feelings. I was going through so many emotions during that scene because I'm like, first and foremost, this poor man is up here just getting his life. He has a hood on his head and he does not know that his life is about to end. You know what I'm saying? And so they stab him, innocent, wrong man at the wrong place at the wrong time. Just innocent man. And then, but at the same time, you're like, oh, Bob, you are just, and anybody who's into a specific kink, I'm not saying it's just sleazy, but the fact that Bob is, because I hate people who are hypocrites. I love people who own their kink or own their thing. You know what I'm saying? So for him to be like shitting on like, Beverly and whatnot and all this shit, stuff like that, he comes up here and then he's like, he has this big secret, and it's just like, you probably get your just desserts, because even if you were bonking Serena and if she did not know about this part of your life, then, you've already you have no sympathy for me is what I'm trying to say. So, the sympathy I had in the entire scene was for the guy, the actual Gimp, because he came over to get his rocks off. He didn't come over to get killed. You know what I'm saying? And so, if that made any sense whatsoever, I feel like I went all over the place with that. But I just feel like the scene had me feeling all types of ways, and that's kind of how I'm relating that right now. But anyway,
I like it. I can dig it. The kill scene was intense, and I love that Beverly got in the last chop.
you knew she was. You
Yeah.
knew she was.
And in this scene, we got official confirmation on who is who when it comes
Yes.
to the clowns. So Kai is the dildo face. Harrison is, the clown with the green hair and the big smile.
Mhm.
Samuels, the Detective Samuels, is the brain clown. Meadow is Ball Gag, although we didn't see her in this scene, but we get confirmation later. Beverly Hope is what they're calling the pentagram clown, but I like to call it the one whose face is melting and hands are popping through. But that's long to say, so we'll call her pentagram.
Yeah.
Although when we got confirmation that she's pentagram, it made me laugh because I believe it was episode 1? It feels like so long ago. It feels like it was episode 2, but in whatever episode in which they invaded Allie's house, a pentagram ends up falling over the stairs, over the banister, and so that was Beverly that fell.
Oh, I didn't pay no attention to that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's funny in my head.
But I did know that Beverly was also the one who was in the car. So I'm like, how the fuck did you not get injured? Because you didn't have no seatbelt.
She's got 9 lives.
9, yes.
Yeah. Willow is the puzzle face
Winter.
clown.
Winter.
Ivy is the elephant-faced clown with the striped suit. RJ, the cameraman, is, I guess they call him the Harlequin clown. He's
Yes.
the weird clown that looks like he's got, I don't know if you've ever seen when they do like facelift surgeries and they put all those dots and lines on your face. That's what it looks like he's got. And he's also the one that was jerking off behind the cash register at the restaurant a few episodes ago. So continuing on, there's a bit of a one-on-one chat between Beverly and Kai over at the butchery on Main, and they discuss Ivy. And he's like, "Oh, I'm surprised. A woman who deals with meat, couldn't handle some killing and blah blah blah." But she's like, "No, she's fresh, she's new. There is some dissent in the crowd. Not everyone is down for the cause, and that's going to basically ruin us because it's going to start sowing um, distrust among the ranks." And she ends up pointing her finger at RJ. And so we get a flashback to 5 weeks ago to when, the couple with the phobias and the coffins, they're setting it up, and RJ immediately is complaining about it. Why are we doing this? Why are we moving here? What does it matter if we move it at this, that, or the other? And Beverly's like, what does it matter to you? It matters to these people. It matters to the staging, to the stagecraft, and whatnot. And this is where we get confirmation that Meadow is the ball gag clown. And we see the couple get placed inside the caskets. We see the clown graffiti place and all this kind of stuff. And once they're in the casket, they take off their masks. And once again, RJ's like, why are we doing this? What's going on? This is messed up. Whatever. We should let him out. And Beverly's like, stop being a bitch. We want to make the news, basically. And
that was hilarious.
yes. And so Beverly basically tells Kai that RJ is a cancer and we need to cut it out.
Yeah, I found that to be very telling because even though I was assuming kind of like earlier when you was talking about when we were talking about the winter and Ivy scene in the car, and you asked if Ivy was like if Winter was really interested in Ivy, and I'm thinking like no, she's just like her brother. She knows how to play people, and she knows how to push what buttons to press. You know what I'm saying? Because although it wouldn't shock me if they were doing something, but like it's kind of like what Kai did with Harrison. He pressed all his buttons sexually, you know what I'm saying, and got him to fall in line, and so I'm thinking that Winter probably did the exact same thing with Ivy because she knew who to play with, which always goes back to something I want to bring back again later in the episode, but just remind me. But did you notice how Beverly took over that scene?
Oh, yeah.
And it goes back to when Kai was like, at the beginning of the episode, the first meeting, like, your boss you didn't get your boss to release the tapes. That's on you. And she was like, yeah, but he, she said, yeah, but, he feels like, we're getting, like, he's becoming suspect, blah, blah. And, she set it up. She gave him the bait and he took it. Well, I guess we got to kill Bob. And then she gave him the bait with RJ. Well, I guess we got to take care of RJ then. And it's just like, okay, now who's really in power now? You know what I'm saying? Because this is why, and Beverly Pope is running the damn show, but she's not running the show. If you get what I'm saying. At this point, I was like, okay, Beverly's the queen bee. She's the queen bee. And I'm thinking that this is going to be a tonal shift in a way, which I'm not going to get into yet. What do you think about that? Do you think she's going to be the queen bee? At this stage of the episode, do you think she's going to end up being a queen bee?
Well, I definitely saw that she was running shit completely. And I wasn't sure what to think of that. Because there's a twist later on, and I'm like, are you really the queen bee? So I'll mention that when we get to it. But I did see that she was very powerful, and it did seem like Kai was holding up his end of the bargain because at some point in the episode, Beverly's like, I know what you told all these other people, and you made up all these stories. But you said to me, that we are equals, basically. And so if we're equals, we're equals. And he's keeping up with that, at least.
Hmm.
So we'll have to
Yeah.
see what ends up happening with that. But I did like their scene together. They work really well off of one
Very well.
another.
Yes, very well.
So let's get back to Allie. And Allie sees something suspicious across the street. She sees Harrison pulling something out of the car, dragging it, something heavy out the car. Then she sees Harrison kissing Detective Samuels. And while Harrison is with Samuels, she decides to go and investigate, and she heads on back into the backyard. She finds a hole. She starts to get, a little bit of a panic attack because of the hole. She looks in the hole, and in the hole is Meadow. And she basically tells Allie, help me. Help me. And then some noise happens in the house, and it looks like someone's going to be going out into the backyard. And so Allie runs to the house, and she tries to call 911, but 911 says that they're experiencing an unusually high call volume. So she's going to have to wait. And so she tries, but that doesn't work. And so she calls Ivy. And Ivy's basically like, you shouldn't be calling me. And she's like, hey, I need you in the house. They're going to kill her. He's going to kill her. And she's like, what's going on? And she says, Meadow. And Ivy's not really trying to have any of it. And all of a sudden there's banging on the door. And it is Meadow, who happened to have gotten free somehow. And this is when Meadow spills all of the tea. She's like, help me, help me. Allie's like, the police is on the way. And Meadow's like, it's a cult, Allie. It's a cult. Everyone's in it. The police, my husband, your babysitter, your wife.
And Allie's like,
Yes. And then she gets a bag placed over her head, and they take her away.
I'm thinking one or two things.
Wait, just
Jeff.
1 second. Just
Okay.
pause for like half a second. So, Ivy's still on the line. She's like, hello, hello, are you there? I don't know how much she heard. I don't think she heard it. I think it's one of those situations where she didn't hear what Meadow said. And Allie ends up hanging up the phone on Ivy. And so we'll pause here because this other scene, we're going to have to break that down. So the shocking revelation for me was this. Because this is episode 5 of an 11-episode series. And we have the main character find out the truth about what's really going on. Now, will she believe this? Will she use this information to her advantage? I guess that's what we're going to have to see. Because if she doesn't believe it, if she doubts it, whatever, then I can see them sort of continuing on with the storyline the way that it currently is. But if she starts digging into this and starts to research and whatnot, I don't know what they're going to do for 6 episodes, because it's not going to take her that long to do whatever.
Well, three things. One, the whole scene with Meadow spilling all the Earl Grey. That was Earl Grey tea. That wasn't just any type of tea. That was Earl Grey.
Yeah,
That
it was
finest
high quality.
high quality.
Yes.
'cause-
Although I will say, I didn't, in the beginning, because when they cut to commercial, like after she says, help me, I'm like, is this all part of some sort of like ruse? And then all of a sudden Meadow's going to be like, I wasn't in a hole. What are you talking about, Allie? So I didn't know what was going on. And then once she spilled the tea, I was like, oh, okay, this is for real. And I guess she's on the outs of the cult.
Yeah, because she was the other weakest link because, Harrison was like, yeah, I want to get rid of Meadow. But the thing of the matter is, at that particular time, it goes back to, I think Kai needed a scapegoat to throw the sin off of them, off of Meadow and Harrison. So one of them had to disappear, and if it was just a ruse or whether or not he actually going to tell Harrison, yeah, go ahead and take out Meadow. You know what I'm saying? Because look at how Beverly took out RJ, her cameraman. They've worked together. You know, she trusted him enough to bring him into the cult, but she still dispatched of him when she like, okay, he ain't gonna be able to make it, so we gotta get rid of him. Meta, on the other hand, she would have been down for the cause, but it's just the fact that she's a little bit too ditzy, and she might end up revealing something. So they probably were going to get rid of her, but that was my second thing. I think it's a ruse too, but it's just like if it was a ruse, I think Ryan Murphy and crew are playing with us because I don't want to spoil the next. I want you to set up the next scene, but um, I'm gonna save that to go to the next scene. But also to go back to what you were talking about with like all the stuff being put on the table, this really I ain't say confirms, but it really what's the word I'm looking for? It supports my theory that we're gonna get a switch up sometime soon. Because like you said, there's no way in hell we can go 6 more episodes with this woman knowing that her, with not knowing, but just got information from Meadow, like, yeah, all the shit pretty much have experienced is true, but it's a cult, we're all in on it, and your wife is too. So I'm thinking that this is when Allie's gonna crawl out of her hole, the holes that she's buried, that she didn't keep falling in, the holes that she's created, and now this is her time to actually take care and fix the problem, fill the holes, aka fill in the blanks. You know what I'm saying? Because all this stuff is happening to her. Look at all the clowns' masks. Each mask almost pertains to her phobias. And first of all, that clown mask. She got she's afraid of clowns. Some of the masks have intricate designs or holes in them. There's that, and some of them are bloody. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, so you kind of feel like it should click that, okay, all this shit is happening because somebody close to me, gave them that idea and they're fucking with me. So I feel like she should become empowered, but but that's how I feel going forward. Like this has to be her wake up Allie moment. Cause when she hung up the phone, cause she could have sat there and like, oh, Meadow's crazy, and whatnot. And I'm not gonna believe her. Ivy, please come save me. But she sat there like she actually used her brain like, okay, I don't know if I can trust you right now. So she might not have all the bits and pieces connected, but she knows that there's something up. And it kind of like was like an aha moment for her. And I hope she retains it going to the next episode. But who knows?
I hope so too. I don't know if I fully buy that the whole Meadow thing is an act. I think she really is on the outs. Like whether everybody in the cult knows it or not, I don't know.
Yeah,
But I think that's real. And I don't know what's going to happen next. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
yeah,
But let's move into the next scene because it sort of either answers or confirms anything with Meadow because
exactly.
everyone is meeting up and Ivy's like, where's Meadow? And they're like, oh, she's with a friend. So if she is on the outs, then some people know she's on the outs and some people don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so they all are ready for the meeting, and there's some good news. Kai's numbers are up, ever since the news of the clowns and Bob Thompson's death has been, in the public eye, and Kai is happy, you know? And so he goes around the room and he starts talking about trust and distrust and loyalty, and we all basically have to be down for the cause, because if we're not all down for the cause, none of this is going to happen. And sure, it's a city council seat, but it'll eventually lead us into greater things because, I'll be in power, and with power comes respect, and, all that kind of stuff. And so he takes them into a room where we see RJ ball gagged. And Kai explains, that RJ's an anchor bringing us down. And, RJ will turn on us in a minute. He knows who we are. All he's got to do is, make a call. And, whether or not him also being complicit with the murders, he can get immunity by, identifying all of us, and he can negotiate that or whatever. And you saw how he was with the Gimp. And so basically, so that everyone can prove their loyalty to Kai and to the cause, they have to take turns basically killing RJ by using a nail gun.
Oh.
Ivy is shooked. And so Kai's like, you will be the first one. In solidarity, you got to do this. And he also explains that the record for nails in the head before death is 13. And so let's see what we could do, basically. And so even though Ivy was very hesitant, she even apologizes. She's hesitant and she apologizes to him. She ends up doing it. Everyone takes their shot. It looks like RJ is damn near comatose by the end of it. Kai ends up licking his face. I guess a little bit of the blood. It's a lot of blood and licking in this episode. And everyone's ready for another round, but Kai's like, no, you all proved your loyalty. You're down for the cause. And he explains about the medulla oblongata being the on-off switch for the brain and the body. And so he ends up putting a nail in that location, which instantly kills RJ.
Okay.
So let's break this down.
Where you want to begin?
I thought this was very intense, and it looked very real. And, I will give Ivy props, because I don't really care about her as a character. And especially since, in that scene with Winter, she's like, oh, fuck it all, you got to do something radical, only the radicals, get things done, and blah, blah, blah. So it seemed as if she was down for the cause, but then once sort of like push came to shove, and shit, it was actually going down, it seems that she's weak. Or at least, well, let me rephrase. She's weak in their eyes, but she actually has like a conscience. She has a soul. She has empathy. And I don't think it's going to end that well for her, to be quite honest. Because if they find this out and if Beverly starts sniffing around her, she's going to be the next one.
Yeah. I think that Ivy represented, like, I'm glad you brought this scene up about how, how she was saying you got to be radical, you got to go to the extreme, you got to do everything that's necessary to bring change or to bring down the establishment. And I think that is a commentary on a lot of, this is why I kind of have a thing about social justice warriors, because I look at social justice as like social media justice warriors, or you might want to say SMJW, because you got a lot of people who's all about the talk, but they're not about the walk. They can protest, but as far as them going and like actually just destroying something, I don't think they'll go that far, because a lot of people are probably scared they'll get arrested. They're scared they're gonna probably have some on their record, So And I think Ivy's one of those people, you know what I'm saying? And that goes back to when she went to their rally and
They grabbed her by the pussy.
they grabbed her literally by the, and she stood there like shocked. Like, I can't believe that. But that's what comes with the territory when you go to just like when you go to, especially when the tension is at an all-time high amongst the two camps and stuff like that. You're going to have somebody that's going to probably get if infuriated enough to sit there and put their hands on you, and it's all about what's going to happen after that goes down. What is your next move, you know? And so she was all about this idea, but she's not about the execution of getting to that, to making that idea a reality, if that makes any sense, you know? And so, but it's plausible. And like you said, you can't really fault her. But at the same time, if you're going to
I
walk
agree, and I think that was the first nice thing about Ivy that I've ever said.
yeah, yeah. But at the same time, it's just like, girl, you didn't sat there and just did the utmost. And this goes back to what I was wanting to say earlier, because Allie mentioned when she was talking to
Dr.
Dr.
Vincent?
Vincent that she had a biological urge to be with her child, which made me think that Allie, we already confirmed that Allie 9 times out of 10 was the one who carried Oz. So why? I mean, not trying to get anything murky or get like nasty with like legalities and stuff like that, but it's like, why in the hell would you take that woman's child from her? It's both of your kids. Ivy is both of yours. I mean, you both are Oz's parents. Excuse me, Oz's parents. You're both Oz's parents. However, it's like you are torturing her because you know that she's going to have the stronger bond to Oz, since she was the one who carried him. You know what I'm saying? And you know that's going to like cripple her. So I kind of still don't have any sympathy for her because
She's a bitch.
like, she's a bitch. This is your kid. You know what I'm saying? This goes to all those same-sex couples who are doing their damnedest to try to get a. This is my personal opinion. This is just my personal opinion. It's like when you sit there and use a child, because this is also in straight marriages. When you use a child for leverage over your own personal feelings, and like, I don't know. I guess Ivy did it to their way to get Oz out of the picture. But at the same time, there's still an emotional scar on the child's psyche, you know, playing with the emotions because, you know, using him as a chess piece, rather, you get what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, Ozzy's already asking, is Winter going to be my third mommy?
Exactly. And not even like third, like, so, is that in itself is just like, I don't know. It just, that's a whole nother situation, a whole nother conversation. I kind of don't want to go there with it right now because I don't want nobody to get mad at me. But I just think that this scene also was telling when it goes to like Meadow. They were like, Meadow is off with a friend. This is why I was saying earlier that Ivy might be in the cult, but she's not in. I think she's still in the initiation period. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like Gary got in before she did. And she, if you get what I'm saying, Gary got in before she did because Gary was willing to sit there and cut his own arm off, his hand off. He was down for the cause. He was like, I'm willing to maim myself to be here. And if I can maim myself, then God knows I can probably maim anybody else. It's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like levels. She's on a need to know basis. We will inform you on stuff when it comes to the point you need to know, but you're on the bottom tier. Like, I think the RJ, Meadow, and Ivy are bottom tier. Next tier will probably be Gary. And then the next tier after that is hell, you can probably put Gary in the bottom tier too. But he falls in line quicker, so that's why he has like, if he's on the bottom tier, he's like on his way to move up to the second tier. And on the second tier, you have Harrison and Detective Styles. Or
Samuels.
Samuels. And then there is the next tier is Beverly and Winter, and then there's at the top tier is Kai. But I'm kind of feeling like Kai, Beverly, and Winter are on the same tier because I bet you Winter and Beverly knows every move that Kai is getting ready to make,
Mm-hmm.
and Harrison and Samuels, they get told when they need to be told, and then Samuels and Harrison informs Gary, Meadow, Ivy, and RJ when they need to be told. That's how I feel like it goes because yeah, that's why I kept saying like Ivy might be in the club, but she's not fully in, and this confirmed it for me. This scene was the confirmation that she was not all in the know because when Ali called her and said Meadow is here and she's in the hole, Meadow's in the hole, and this and that and all this stuff and everything like that, and I was like, oh, I didn't get that memo. You know what I'm saying? So um like so that, I think that's when Ali had to make the decision. Not Ali, but Ivy had to make the decision. Like okay, my wife just said that she just saw Meadow, but Meadow should be here. And then they're like, okay, we sense that you got a little, pushback, so we need you to prove yourself now, like for real, for real. Like you're gonna have to take turns. You punked out at the Bob slaying, but now you have to sit there and really prove yourself. You gotta like sacrifice one of your own cult members to sit there and like make sure that you're down for the cause. And even though she still technically didn't kill RJ, she still injured him. So it was Kai who took the final blow. But at the same time, she did put a hand in like injuring him. So that's how I broke down the scene. Was that it was a revelation of who is all in the know and who knows what and blah 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 blah.
I like it. Yeah, the scene was crazy. And, yeah, I mean, it was just probably one of the well, I'm saying this after we saw the Gimp and Bob earlier in the episode, but this episode was filled with crazy deaths.
Crazy. It was like the bloodbath scene of Scream or something like that. It was just like, the pinnacle of like body counts are really hitting the floor now. So
Basically, yeah.
we should keep up with the body count. I should make a list of everybody who's died so far and keep up with the body count by the end of the season.
You should. I like that. So
Yeah.
this is technically where the episode ends, at least chronologically, because the very final scene of the episode is a flashback. We flash back to Beverly's pinky swear scene, and this scene is funny to me because it just proves how much of a badass Beverly is.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, what scares you? And she's like, you know what? I'm not really interested in that. I want to find out about you. Tell me about you. I see we're in this house. There's photos of family. Where's your mom and your dad? I know that you told everybody else, stories about your past and whatnot. And, whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do. But tell me about what's going on in your life. What about your parents? And she's like, oh, okay, I see. That's where it is. And he's like, I don't, I don't need to say anything. But she's like, nope, secrets ruin everything. So tell me. And so he explains that they died 3 years ago. And we see his father after an accident, a car accident, or a Harley accident. He ended up becoming disabled, and ever since he got into the wheelchair, he just became unbearable. And we see how he treats Kai. This is Kai before blue hair. And basically berating him for not having a job. He's got to contribute. Upon learning that it's Taco Tuesday, his father ends up, just berating his wife, about spiciness, and he can't handle the spice, and she's like, "Oh, it was mild salsa," and and then it just turns into like this crazy marital argument, like, "Who are you fucking?" Ever since I've been paralyzed, it's not me, and all this kind of stuff, and you can see that their relationship is not the best. And so while Kai is upstairs playing on the computer, he hears gunshots. Well, first shouting and then gunshots. And so he goes to see, and we see that his mother shot his father, and she's basically like, that was the only way, that was the only way, and she commits suicide. So it was a murder-suicide. And Beverly's like, well, we haven't heard of any murder-suicides, in 2014 or in any time recently. What happened? And he's like, my brother. And this is where we learn that Dr. Rudy Vincent is Kai and Winter's brother.
So that means his name must be Dr. Rudy Vincent Anderson, because Winter and Kai kept their last name Anderson. So I'm thinking that has to be his name as well.
I agree. Or it's Rudy Anderson and Vincent was just something that he added, whatever, for whatever reason. Or I like Rudy Vincent Anderson. And so Rudy is basically like, what the hell? Like, Winter is in college, and I am a business professional. I cannot be associated with this mess. My clients can't find out about this. We will cover them in lie, and, their bodies will decompose, and, that's just what we're going to do. We're going to keep them in the bed, put them in lie for the smell, and padlock the door, and their body will decompose. And he's Kai. This is a different Kai, because Kai's like, what? We can't do this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And Rudy is basically like, we have to, because like, how are we gonna live? How are you gonna live? We need their pension. We need this. We need that. We need the other. Our dad may have gotten all this money from the lawsuit because of the accident, but, the government's going to take 40%. And this would just ruin everything if people find out about their deaths. And so, Rudy does the pinky thing to Kai, and Kai ends up agreeing to do what Rudy decided. Winter ends up finding out, and she ends up keeping the secret as well. And we see that Kai on occasion does talk to his mom, and as well as his father, but kindly to his mom's decomposing body versus his father's decomposing body. And basically, at one point he tells his mom, I'm going to become something, you're going to see. And he ends up breaking down in front of Beverly, and we see Beverly, consoling him.
Or she was
establishing dominance.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's like she said, "Get him."
Yes. So here's my thought, because we're wondering who the Queen Bee is. And initially the Queen Bee, I think, was Kai. And Beverly seems like she wants to be the Queen Bee. But is there an invisible Queen Bee that nobody knows about that is Dr. Rudy Vincent? Is Dr. Rudy Vincent actually in charge of this whole thing? Or is Dr. Rudy Vincent not involved at all? And Kai, just uses Rudy's files or something. Because I could see Kai breaking in and stealing
Yes.
information. And so
Yes.
Rudy might not be involved at all, or he's in charge.
I wait. Oh, wait. Were you? I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't think Rudy. I think he's involved, but he's not involved because you remember when they were he's involved because wait a minute. Wait a minute, because somebody called when they were sitting there trying to get the coffins up. Somebody called and told them that those people was on their way home, and they had just left Dr. Rudy Vincent's
That was
office.
Kai.
That was Kai, which
Yeah,
means that
they
he
referenced
probably
something like Kai just called, they're on their
okay.
way.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Kai probably, but I mean, Rudy is involved in some capacity, but I don't think he's like spoiler alert for like the Lost Boys. I don't think he's like the Max. You know what I'm saying? He's not the head, queen. He's not the head vampire of this operation. You know what I'm saying? That nobody's assumed. You know what I'm saying? But I could be wrong. I mean, I was wrong about Ivy. So, but I think that because it would be like, why would he be targeting? Because at the end of the day, the question still remains, even in episode 5, why are they coming after Allie? Like, why? It's something about Allie because she's like their number one focal point, and it's not to recruit her. I think, I don't know what it is because I don't think it's to recruit her. I think it's something that she's done. Again, she's oblivious to everything on those she's probably like unintentionally hurts around. She unintentionally hurts around her. Um, and I'm thinking that, like you said, Kai is just noticing that maybe um, um, Kai probably picked up on her files, was like interested in her. He probably was stalking her, and then realized that I got access to her files now. She's going to my brother's practice and whatnot. And Kai probably, just used that as a tool, but then they had to get access to inside the house without it being so suspicious. So that's why I think that's the only reason they recruited Ivy, is to pretty much de, to pretty much cut off all ties that Allie could have to anybody. Because look at where Allie is at right now. She's in that house by herself. Um, and she has nobody to turn to. So I'm thinking that Allie is the end guy. Yeah, Kai says that he's trying to run for city council and whatnot, but I think there's also another game at play. However, if there is an invisible king or queen bee, Beverly doesn't know anything about it. But this is my theory with Beverly. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I believe that Beverly is piling up enough evidence so when the shit does hit the fan, because it's going to hit the fan. They can't keep doing this forever. It's going to hit the fan, and what better way to really up your political career if you take down a politician? You know, not about her political career, but
Reporting.
her journalistic career. If she takes down a politician, she has Kai by the balls, and I feel as if this scene could be, like you said, it could be played both ways. She was consoling him because she did say equal power. Or she could be like, okay, I got you now. I got you now, and I don't want equal power. I want all of it. Because she is a woman who has been denied power all her life, it seems like. And when she get that first taste of power, it's a hell of a drug. And she wants it all. And she knows that if she takes out Kai, then everybody else might fall in line. So she got to worry about Willow. I mean, about Winter. But she needs to also look out for Rudy as well. So she might end up. That might be her. That might be her downfall. Is the fact that she's not looking outside the box. She's just focusing on Kai. because he's the one who's still going to be the face of all of this when everything hits the fan, because he is the leader. So if that makes any sense. That's my code name. That's my catchphrase for this podcast, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. The shock for me, or the surprise, was that Rudy was, like, related to them. As far as him being involved, like, I sort of was suspicious of that, a few episodes ago.
Yep. I've always been suspicious of Rudy because I'm like, everything that's going on, Allie runs tells her psychiatrist, and then it just so happens that something else pops up, like when she said something about holes, and it's just like, and then Winter was bringing over clowns. It just like it seemed like he had a connection, but then we also know that Kai is a hacker, but he can get to those files. But also Ivy is Allie's wife. That could also be leaking secrets. But at the same time, I'm thinking that Rudy was sitting there also giving Kai what he needed. Maybe unintentionally, he probably doesn't know, or he's feeding it to him. Because looking at everything we know so far, you have to ask yourself, what is Rudy's end game? He really wants to make sure his practice stays afloat. So what would I guess the only thing he would benefit from this is if a lot of people are nervous and scared like Ali is, he might get a lot more clientele for people dealing with anxiety and stress and all this stuff and what things going on, or maybe, but it's like nobody's really been affected by anything. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I'm just like clueless as to if he is a part of it. He might be a part of it, but at the end of the time, but at the same time, what is he trying to get out of it? Because everybody who's in the cult has something to get out of it.
Yeah, that's the only thing. That's the only thing that doesn't make sense. Like, what is his motivation? And I genuinely can't see, oh, I want more clients. Like, as his, like, end game. Like, as a reason to do all of this. But maybe it is just something as simple as that. I mean, all Beverly wants, if you really think about it, is she wants more success in the media. So, that's sort of like a work-related thing as well. So maybe it is something as simple as, I want my practice to grow, I want more clients, let them all go crazy and with paranoia and they'll all come to me.
Yeah, because it's kind of akin to what Kai was saying. He keeps saying that we need them to be scared. So when shit does hit the fan and we are in power, they come to us and they ask us to protect them. And so everybody wants power, but they want a sort of form of power. And I'm thinking that Rudy will probably also he will also be a leader if this works out for them, because people could come to his office and be like, yeah, I can't deal with the fact that this and this going on and it's just doing this to me, and he can rake in the money. But it seemed like what they're doing would be more of a hindrance to his practice than it would be a pro. So
I guess we will have to wait and see. So now it is time for the MVP, the most valuable player, the character that impressed you the most, and why. The rule is simple. Once a character is stated, it cannot be repeated. You must choose a different one. And since there's only two of us, I'm in a giving mood, so that means you may go first.
oh God, I'm trying to be nice, but I'm going to have to go with Beverly. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Oh, you can. I really liked Beverly, but one of my rules for myself is I try not to pick the same character like 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, okay.
So I'm glad you picked her.
Yeah, I'm glad to take that burden off of you. But Beverly, just Because think about how she started off in the show. She was just like a background character, like, oh, she's on the news. But I mean, Adina Porter, you know, is a well-known actress, but just like she's on the news, she's not doing anything, or she's just reporting the news, she's not doing anything. And then all of a sudden, she just came in like a wrecking ball. Like,
Yes.
I am here and I am finna show you, I'm finna take, center stage. Even when she sits down, when they're having their meeting, she's like, I'm letting y'all think that y'all running stuff, but I'm really the one running shit here. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I love about her. And somebody said Beverly Hope for president. And I was like, you know what? I would go ahead and pencil her damn name in a ballot if or just if she was running, I'll sit there and vote for her. Because she gets shit done by any means necessary. And she's down for the cause. So yeah, Beverly Hope is my pick for this week.
I like it. And I guess I'm going to give my MVP to the man of the hour, Kai. I mean, Evan Peters just continues to bring it. And
Yes.
seeing him with everyone, he just works so well with the entire cast. Seeing him with Beverly, seeing him with Ivy, and in particular with Beverly this episode, because he was with Beverly a lot in the episode. Seeing him go from 0 to 1,000 with the Gimp, and seeing him, doing his best cult leader impression in front of the cult, and then seeing him break down, and seeing Evan Peters play a very different version of the character in the flashback. It was really great to see. I give him major props, because he just did a really great job acting and showing us who Kai is in this episode.
Yes. I would be upset if Evan Peters does not get nominated for an Emmy this year. I would really be upset. I would be like flabbergasted because I mean, he did a damn good job in Murder House. To be truthfully honest with you, this is the best Evan Peters has been since Asylum. I'm just saying, I'm just being real with you. I mean, really didn't have that much to do in Freak Show. He was like all over the place in Freak Show. Hotel, he popped in whenever, and in Roanoke, he was only in there for 2 episodes. But yeah, season 1 and 2, this is like return to form for Evan Peters. So at least I feel that way.
I co-sign it. Absolutely. Now it is time to rate the episode. How would you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10 clown masks? The point system is allowed, and if you found the episode exceptional, deserving more than a 10, you may grant it the coveted Twisty the Clown mask. And we'll go in the same order, so that means Mark, you are first.
10 across the boards, 10 clown masks, 10 dildo clown masks across the board. It was off the chain. I loved it. Yeah, it was just a great episode. Like I said, it's like each episode gets better and better and better. And I'm just waiting for somebody to be like, oh, this season was not good at all. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you were looking at though, but this was just awesome. And it's quickly ranking up there. It's about to touch Coven. If not, it's not already there for my favorite season. It's about to sit there and share the throne with Coven and knock off Murder House. That's how good it's getting. So in this episode, it just was awesome. Very well executed. The reveals, the tea that was spilled all over the place. It was like the Boston Tea Party, bitch. That's how good it was. So tears across the board.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go there again for a second week in a row. The Twisty the Clown mask, over 10.
Okay.
It was that good, in my opinion. The reveals, the murders, the deaths, the twists, and the turns, and the shocks, and the awes, and the revelations. It gave me everything. Once
Yes.
Meadow spilled the tea, and then we got the family tea. Like I just over the top for me. So perfect.
Yes. Oh God. I'm just like Brian, I'm just eager to see what the hell's going on next week. I kind of want to sit there and like petition for you to sit there and just do a binge watch my model next year for American Horror Story, so we can get all this shit in one episode. Or get it in one day and I can watch it all in one weekend because that's how good it's been. This is it. Also, another thing, you can go back and rewatch the first 5 episodes and will just be still entertained. Because I'm pretty sure if you go back and watch the first 5 episodes, you will still find new shit that you didn't think of the second time around. Like you watch them in sequence, and then by the time episode 6 come around, you'll probably find something else. But they are killing it this year. They are killing it, and I am happy for them. And that the fact that the show is going to be on for 2 more seasons. So,
Yeah, it's so good. Very, very good job this season. So on that note, join us next time for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid Cult? Once again, here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Are You Afraid, Cult, and subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. My co-host, please wish the listeners a good night.
good night, people. See you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of Are You Afraid Cult every Thursday via Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and the Poppy Chula Radio archives. Good night.